The stars burned cold and distant as the battle raged across the Kaldros system. Explosions lit up the darkness like brief, angry suns. Ships twisted and turned, firing weapons that tore through metal and flesh alike. This was not a fair fight. This was a massacre. Commander Zelith gripped the armrests of her captain's chair as another blast rocked her ship. The shields were failing. Around her, the bridge crew worked frantically at their stations, but she could see the fear in their eyes. They all knew the truth. They were losing. "Status report," Zelith demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Shields at 20%, Commander," her tactical officer replied. "We've lost another 12 ships in the last 5 minutes. Total fleet strength now at 743 vessels. 743. They had started this battle with 800 ships. The Creathians had come with 2,000. The math was simple and brutal. They could not win. Zelith looked at the main view screen. It showed the enemy fleet in all its terrible glory. The Creathian warships were massive, dark things that looked like they had been built to inspire fear. Their hulls were covered in armor that seemed to swallow light itself. Their weapons fired constantly, red beams that cut through Velhari shields like they were made of paper. "Why won't the Council help us?" someone whispered. Zelith pretended not to hear. She knew why. Treaties. Politics. The same reasons good people always died while others watched and did nothing. Another explosion. This one was close. Zelith saw one of her escort frigates simply cease to exist. One moment it was there fighting bravely. The next moment there was only debris and bodies floating in the void. "Communications, send another distress call," Zelith ordered. "Broadcast on all frequencies. Someone has to hear us. Someone has to care." "Yes, Commander, but..." The communications officer hesitated. "Commander, we've been broadcasting for 3 hours. No one is coming." Zelith closed her eyes for just a moment. Below them on the planet Kaldros, 3 billion Velhari civilians waited. They had built a beautiful civilization over thousands of years. They had art and music and poetry. They had families and hopes and dreams. And in a few hours, when the Creathians finished destroying the fleet, they would die. All of them. The Creathians would burn the planet from orbit. They had done it before to other species. They would do it again. That was their way. They did not conquer. They destroyed. They took what they wanted and left nothing behind but ash and silence. "Keep fighting," Zelith said. "Every minute we hold them is another minute our people have to say goodbye to each other. To hold their children. To see one more sunrise, it was not much, but it was all she could give them." The battle continued. The Velhari fleet fought with desperate courage. But courage alone could not stop the Creathian advance. Ship after ship fell silent, their lights going dark forever. The enemy pressed forward. Their formation perfect, their tactics flawless. They had done this many times before. On the edge of the system, far from the battle, the Galactic Council observation ships watched. They recorded everything. They took notes. They did nothing. Their treaties forbade them from interfering in internal conflicts. Never mind that this was not a conflict. This was genocide. Zelith fired her ship's weapons at a Creathian cruiser. The beams struck its shields and scattered harmlessly. The cruiser did not even bother to return fire. It simply continued its advance toward the planet. The contempt in that gesture hurt more than any weapon could. "Commander," the sensor officer's voice cut through the noise. "I'm detecting something. A ship just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the system's edge. Is it Council reinforcements?" Zelith felt a flicker of hope. "No, Commander. It's small, frigate-sized, single vessel. Unknown configuration." The officer looked confused. "It's broadcasting identification codes, but they're in a format I don't recognize. The computer is trying to translate. Put it on screen." The view screen shifted to show a distant point of light. The computer enhanced the image. Zelith saw a ship unlike any she had ever seen. It was sleek and angular, with a design that spoke of efficiency rather than beauty. It looked fast. It looked dangerous. "Translation complete, Commander. The identification reads UESS Perseverance. Terran Expeditionary Fleet, Terran." Zelith searched her memory. She had studied the major species of the galaxy. She knew their ships, their cultures, their languages. She had never heard of Terrans. "Computer, search the database." "What is a Terran?" "No match found in Galactic database," the computer replied. "Then who are they?" No one had an answer. They watched as the unknown ship began to move. It was not fleeing. It was approaching the battle slowly, deliberately, like it had all the time in the world. "Hail them," Zelith ordered. "Warn them away." One ship cannot make a difference here. They'll just die with us. The communications officer worked quickly. No response yet, Commander. Wait. They're broadcasting now. Audio only, a voice filled the bridge. It was calm. Female. Speaking in perfect galactic standard language with a strange accent Zelith could not place. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Terran vessel Perseverance. We have observed your situation. We are here to help. Zelith stared at the screen. One small ship? Against 2,000 Crethean warships. They're insane, her tactical officer whispered. Perhaps, but they were coming anyway. And for the first time in hours, Commander Zelith felt something other than despair. She felt curiosity. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Perseverance and watched the battle unfold on her screens. She had seen war before. Every human who joined the expeditionary fleet had. But this was different. This was not war. This was extermination. Archon analysis, Elena said quietly. The ship's artificial intelligence responded immediately. Its voice was calm and neutral. Battle analysis complete, Captain. Aggressor force identified as Crethean Armada. Defending force identified as Velhari Defense Fleet. Current tactical assessment. Velhari defeat inevitable within 2.3 hours. Estimated civilian casualties on planetary surface, 3.1 billion individuals. Elena closed her eyes. 3 billion people. Mothers and fathers, children. Old ones who had lived full lives and young ones who had barely begun. All of them would die because a stronger force had decided they should not exist. Show me the Crethean weapons capabilities, she said. Data flowed across her screen. Archon displayed energy outputs, shield frequencies, tactical doctrine. Elena studied it all. The Cretheans were technologically advanced by galactic standards. Their weapons were powerful. Their ships were well armored. They had clearly conquered many systems before this one, but they had never met humanity. Captain? First Officer Chen approached her station. He was a good man, steady and reliable. This isn't our fight. We're here to observe and explore. First Contact Protocol says we should avoid interference in local conflicts. First Contact Protocol also says we use our judgment, Elena replied. And my judgment says that letting 3 billion innocent people die when we have the power to stop it would be wrong. One ship against 2,000, Chen said softly. Even with our technology, I know the odds, Elena said. She looked around the bridge at her crew of 47. They were watching her, waiting for her decision. I also know that humanity spent centuries fighting amongst ourselves. Terrible wars. Horrible weapons. We nearly destroyed our own world more than once. She paused, remembering her history lessons. The old wars, the nuclear fires, the billions who had died before humanity finally learned to work together. We learned from those mistakes, Elena continued. We developed technology to make sure we would never be helpless again, never be victims again, and we promised ourselves that if we ever found other species out here, we would use that technology to protect, not to conquer. She stood up, her decision made. We didn't come all this way just to watch innocents die. Archon, begin charging the Graviton Lance. Helm, set course for optimal firing position. Weapons, I want targeting solutions on their command ships. Yes, Captain, came the chorus of responses. The Perseverance turned and accelerated. The ship moved faster than anything else in the system. Human engines worked on principles the other species had not discovered yet. Humanity had developed in isolation, far from the galactic community. They had gone down different technological paths. Some of those paths had led to weapons that should not exist. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Velhari fleet, the communications officer reported. They're warning us to retreat. They say we'll be destroyed. Put them through. A voice filled the bridge, tired, desperate. Female. Unknown vessel. This is Commander Zelith of the Velhari Defense Fleet. You must retreat immediately. The Cretheans will destroy you. One ship cannot make a difference here. Please save yourselves. Elena smiled slightly. There was care in that voice. Even facing death, this Velhari commander was trying to save strangers. That told Elena everything she needed to know about who deserved to survive this day. Commander Zelith, this is Captain Elena Vasquez. Negative on the retreat. We are here to help. I recommend your ships clear a firing corridor through the center of the Crethean formation. Trust me, silence on the other end. Then who are you people? You'll find out soon enough. Vasquez out. The Perseverance continued its approach. It did not take long for the Creathians to notice. One of their ships broke formation and moved to intercept. It was huge, at least 10 times the size of the human vessel. Its weapon ports glowed red as it charged its guns. Incoming fire, Chen reported. Multiple plasma torpedoes and energy beams. Shields to full power, Elena ordered. Do not return fire. Let them waste their ammunition. The Creathian weapons struck the Perseverance. Red fire engulfed the small ship. The bridge lights flickered for just a moment as the shields absorbed the impact. Then the fire cleared, and the human ship emerged completely undamaged. On the Creathian vessel, alarms would be sounding now. Their most powerful weapons had done nothing. Literally nothing. The shields had not even flickered beyond that brief moment. Human shield technology was based on adaptive field manipulation. The shields analyzed incoming weapons and adjusted their frequencies in microseconds. Unless someone managed to hit them with 1,000 different weapons types simultaneously, the shields would hold. And even then, the armor underneath could withstand incredible punishment. They're hailing us, communications reported. Audio only. Should I put it through? No, Elena said. We're not here to talk to them. Continue to firing position. The Creathian ship fired again. And again. Each time the Perseverance's shields held easily. After the third volley, the Creathian vessel seemed to give up and return to formation. Elena could imagine the conversation happening on their command ship. The confusion. The first hints of fear. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Creathian flagship, communications said. They're demanding we identify ourselves and explain our presence. Ignore it, Elena said. Archon status on the Graviton Lance. Charging at 63%, Captain. Estimated time to full charge 42 seconds. Elena watched the tactical display. The Perseverance was now 50,000 kilometers from the Creathian formation. Optimal range. The enemy ships hung in space like sleeping giants, confident in their superiority. They had no idea what was about to happen. Captain, I'm picking up increased chatter from the Creathian fleet, communications said. They're confused. Some are calling us a scout ship. Others think we're a council observer vessel. Let them wonder, Elena said. She looked at her crew. Good people. Brave people. People who had volunteered to explore the unknown reaches of space, knowing they might never see Earth again. Whatever happens after today, the galaxy is going to know humanity exists. Let's make sure they know what we stand for. Graviton Lance charged to 100%, Archon announced. Weapons system ready. Awaiting target confirmation. Elena took a deep breath. This would change everything. Humanity had stayed hidden for so long, watching from the shadows. After today, there would be no more hiding. Archon, target the Creathian flagship and all command carriers. Graviton Lance, full power. Elena's voice was steady. Fire. The Graviton Lance fired. It was not like any weapon the galaxy had ever seen. No bright red beam. No blue plasma bolt. No missiles streaking across space. Instead, the air itself seemed to twist and bend. Reality warped. And from the bow of the Perseverance came something that looked like distorted glass, like staring at the world through water. The beam moved at near light speed. It crossed 50,000 kilometers in less than half a second. When it struck the Creathian flagship, something impossible happened. The massive dreadnought, 3 kilometers long and weighing billions of tons, simply collapsed inward. The ship compressed. It folded into itself like paper being crumpled by an invisible hand. Metal screamed. The hull buckled and twisted, and in less than 3 seconds the proud flagship of the Creathian Armada had been reduced to a sphere of compressed matter no larger than a small house. The beam did not stop. It continued, striking the next command carrier. The same result. Collapse, compression, annihilation, then the next. And the next Commander Zelith watched from her bridge and felt her mind struggle to accept what her eyes were seeing. What is that weapon? She whispered. Her science officer was frantically working at his station. I don't know, Commander. The energy readings they're manipulating gravity itself. They're creating localized fields of intense gravitational force. It's crushing those ships into... He could not finish. There were no words for what they were witnessing. The Graviton Lance fired for 12 seconds. 12 seconds of sustained, focused destruction. When it finally powered down, 9 Creathian command ships had simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed. Not blown apart. Compressed into spheres of super-dense matter that would eventually collapse into tiny black holes. Silence fell across the battlefield. Every ship, Velhari and Krethian alike, simply stopped. No one fired. No one moved. The crew stared in shock at what had just happened. On the Perseverance, Elena felt the ship's power levels drop. Archon status report. Graviton Lance discharge successful. 9 targets eliminated. Current power reserves at 40%. Estimate 90 seconds to achieve firing capability again. 90 seconds. Elena had known the weapon drew enormous power. That was its only weakness. The Graviton Lance could destroy anything, but it took time to recharge. She had to hope that what the Krethians had just seen would be enough. On what was now the Krethian command ship, Admiral Vorak stared at his screens in disbelief. He had commanded fleets for 30 years. He had conquered 17 systems. He had destroyed hundreds of enemy vessels. He had thought he had seen every weapon the galaxy had to offer. He had been wrong. "Report," Vorak shouted at his crew. "What just happened to the flagship?" "Gone, Admiral," his tactical officer said. His voice shook. "All 9 command ships are gone. They were compressed, crushed by gravitational forces that shouldn't be possible." "One ship did this? One small ship?" "Yes, Admiral." Vorak felt something he had not felt in decades. Fear. Real cold fear that settled in his stomach like ice. He looked at the tactical display. His fleet still outnumbered the enemy 2,000 to 1. But numbers meant nothing if every shot from that human vessel could destroy a ship instantly. "What do we know about them?" Vorak demanded. "Nothing, Admiral. They call themselves Terrans or humans. They're not in our database. That weapon? We have no defense against it. Our shields were useless. The ship simply collapsed." Vorak's mind raced. Retreat would be seen as cowardice. The Emperor would have him executed. But staying might mean the destruction of the entire fleet. What kind of species could build a weapon like that? What kind of technology did they possess? On Kaldros, 3 billion Velhari people watched the sky through every available telescope and sensor. They had been watching their fleet die for hours. They had been saying goodbye to their loved ones. They had been preparing for the end. Now they watched as a single unknown ship had destroyed 9 enemy vessels in seconds. Hope, which had died hours ago, flickered back to life. Messages flooded the communication networks. Who were these Terrans? Where had they come from? Could they truly save them? Commander Zelith finally found her voice. "Hail the human ship. I need to speak with their captain." "Channel open, Commander." "Captain Vasquez, this is Commander Zelith. What was that weapon?" "What are you?" The response came quickly. Captain Vasquez's voice was calm, as if destroying 9 warships was routine. "Commander, I'd be happy to explain later. Right now, I need your fleet to pull back to defensive positions around the planet. Let us handle the Krethians." "You're 1 ship against 2,000, Zelith said. "Even with that weapon, sir, trust me, Commander. We didn't come all this way to fail now." Perseverance out. The channel closed. Zelith looked at her bridge crew. They were all watching her, waiting for orders. She made a decision that went against every tactical instinct she had. All ships pull back to planetary defensive positions. Let the humans do what they came to do. It went against logic. It went against military doctrine. But logic and doctrine had not just destroyed 9 ships in 12 seconds. The humans had. Maybe, just maybe, they knew something the rest of the galaxy did not. On the Perseverance, Elena watched the Velhari fleet begin to withdraw. Good. She did not want them in the line of fire for what was about to happen. She looked at the tactical display. The Krethian fleet was still there, still massive, still dangerous, but they were no longer moving. They were waiting, trying to decide what to do. Elena knew she had only a brief window. Fear was a powerful weapon, but it would not last forever. Soon the Krethians would either flee or attack. She needed to make sure they made the right choice. "Archon, how long until we can fire again?" she asked. 42 seconds, Captain. Open a channel. Broadcast to the entire Krethian fleet. All frequencies. Channel open, Captain. Elena took a breath. This was the moment. This was when humanity announced itself to the galaxy. Not with words of peace and greeting, but with power, with strength, with the promise of protection for the weak and destruction for the cruel. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet," she said. Her voice was calm but carried absolute authority. "Your attack on this system ends now. You have 2 options. Withdraw immediately and return to your own space, or share your flagship's fate. You have 60 seconds to comply." She nodded to her weapons officer. Start charging the graviton lance again. Make sure they can see it on their sensors. The Perseverance's bow began to glow with barely contained energy. The ship's power systems hummed as they fed energy into the terrible weapon. Every sensor in the system would be picking up that signature. Every Crethean captain would be seeing those readings and remembering what had happened to their flagship. Elena counted down the seconds in her head. Would they run? Or would they fight? She was about to find out. Admiral Vorak stared at the countdown timer on his screen. 43 seconds remaining. 42. 41. Each second brought him closer to a decision that would define the rest of his life, however long that might be. His senior officers stood around the command table arguing loudly. Some wanted to retreat immediately. Others wanted to attack. The debate was getting heated. We outnumber them 2,000 to 1, Captain Threll shouted. He commanded one of the heavy cruisers. Even with that weapon, they can only fire it so many times. We swarm them, overwhelm them, destroy them before they can kill us all. You saw what happened to the flagship, another captain replied. That weapon went through our shields like they didn't exist. 9 ships destroyed in seconds, 9. How many more can they kill while we're trying to swarm them? We're the Crethean Armada, Threll insisted. We do not flee from a single ship. The Emperor would rather see us all dead than see us run like cowards. Vorak listened to them argue. He was thinking about that human captain's voice. So calm, so confident. She had given them 60 seconds like she was doing them a favor, like she held all the power and was generously offering them a way out. The terrible thing was she was right. Tactical, Vorak said, cutting through the argument. If we attack, what are our chances? The tactical officer worked at his console. Difficult to calculate, Admiral. That weapon has a recharge time. We estimate 90 seconds between shots based on power readings. If we attack from multiple vectors simultaneously, we could potentially overwhelm their defenses before they destroy more than 30 or 40 ships. 30 or 40 ships, Vorak repeated slowly. Out of 2,000. Yes, Admiral. Those are acceptable losses for victory. Acceptable. Vorak thought about the crews on those 30 or 40 ships. Thousands of soldiers who would die because he gave the order. But that was war. People died in war. That was the way of things. But then he thought about the flagship, about how it had simply collapsed, about the 9 command ships and all the people on them who had died without even understanding what was happening to them, about this weapon that could manipulate gravity itself. What else could these humans do? 20 seconds, someone said. Vorak made his decision. Prepare all ships for combat. We attack on my mark. All vessels converge on the human ship from multiple vectors. Launch all fighters. Overwhelm their defenses. Yes, Admiral. The relief in Threll's voice was obvious. Anything was better than running. 10 seconds, another officer reported. The human weapon is charging. Energy signature increasing. All ships attack now, Vorak ordered.
Full assault!
Across the Crethean fleet, nearly 2,000 warships surged forward. They came from every direction, their weapons charging, their fighters launching. The space around the Perseverance filled with energy blasts, missiles, and attack craft. It looked like a swarm of angry insects descending on a single target. On the Perseverance, Elena watched the tactical display. Here they come. Chen, what's the count? 1,991 ships incoming, Chen replied. They're trying to surround us. Archon, activate point defense systems. Maximum combat parameters. Do not let anything through. Acknowledged, Captain. The Perseverance's defensive weapons came online. Dozens of railgun turrets emerged from the hull. Each one was controlled by Archon's neural network, capable of tracking hundreds of targets simultaneously and firing with perfect accuracy. The Crethean weapons reached the human ship first. Thousands of energy beams and plasma bolts converged on the small vessel. Once again, the shields flared and held. The Perseverance absorbed firepower that would have destroyed 100 normal ships. Then the human ship's defenses activated. The railguns fired. They did not make the bright tracers that plasma weapons made. They were nearly invisible, moving at a significant fraction of light speed, but their effects were devastating. Crethean missiles exploded before reaching their target. Fighters simply disintegrated, struck by hypersonic metal slugs. The railguns fired 10,000 rounds per second, and every single shot hit its target. Archon's targeting was perfect. Nothing got through. Elena watched the tactical display as red markers vanished by the dozens. Helm, evasive maneuvers. Don't let them box us in. The Perseverance moved. It twisted and turned through space with impossible grace, dodging incoming fire that its shields could not block. The ship was small and fast, and its pilot was good. Very good. Graviton lance charged to 73%, Archon reported. Sufficient for firing. Elena studied the tactical display. The Crithians had clustered together, trying to concentrate their fire. It was sound tactics. It was also a mistake. Target that cluster. Fire when ready. The Graviton lance fired again. The beam of twisted space-time reached out and touched 47 Crethian ships that had grouped too close together. One by one they collapsed. The effect was slower this time, with the weapon at less than full power but just as inevitable. Metal screamed. Ships crumpled. Crews died and the Crethian formation broke. Fear, which had been held back by discipline and orders, finally overwhelmed the soldiers. They had signed up to conquer weaker species. They had not signed up to fight an enemy that could crush ships with gravity itself. Ships began to turn away. Slowly at first, then faster. Captains made the decision to save their crews rather than die for pride. The swarm became a rout. The attack became a retreat. Admiral, ships are breaking formation. The tactical officer shouted. Captains are ordering withdrawal. We're losing cohesion. Vorak watched his fleet fall apart. He wanted to give orders, to rally them, to turn the retreat into a fighting withdrawal. But what orders could he give? Stay and die? Fight an enemy that could destroy ships with a weapon that should not exist? Admiral, what are your orders? Someone asked. Vorak looked at the screen showing the human ship. It hung in space, untouched, despite facing 2,000 warships. Its weapons had killed over 50 capital ships in minutes, and it was still there. Still ready. Still dangerous. Signal all ships, Vorak said quietly. General, retreat. Full speed. Get us out of this system. Sir, the Emperor is not here, Vorak shouted. Then more quietly, we cannot win this battle. Better to retreat and report what we found than to lose the entire fleet. Signal retreat. The order went out. The Crithian armada, which had conquered 17 systems, which had destroyed countless species, turned and fled. They jumped to faster-than-light speed as quickly as their engines could manage, desperate to put distance between themselves and the small ship that had shattered their formation. Elena watched them go. She felt no joy in the victory, only relief that it was over. Status report. All enemy vessels retreating, Captain, Chen said. We took no damage. Power reserves at 31%. All systems nominal. Casualties? None, Captain. We didn't even have a shield breach. Elena nodded. She looked at her crew. They were all staring at her with expressions of awe and disbelief. They had just faced 2,000 warships and won without taking a single casualty. It seemed impossible, but humanity had made a career out of doing impossible things. Open a channel to the Velhari fleet, Elena said. Channel open, Captain. Commander Zelith, this is Captain Vasquez. The Crethian fleet has withdrawn. Your system is secure. There was a long pause. Then Commander Zelith's voice came through, thick with emotion.
Captain Vasquez, we...
Thank you. You saved 3 billion lives today. We owe you a debt we can never repay. You don't owe us anything, Commander, Elena said. Protecting innocent people is not something that requires payment. It's just the right thing to do. Another pause. Captain, please. We must meet. We must know who you are, where you come from, how you have this technology. The galaxy needs to know that humanity exists. Elena looked at First Officer Chen. He nodded. This was the moment. The moment humanity stepped out of the shadows and into galactic history. Agreed, Commander. We'll be happy to talk, but first make sure your people are safe. We'll be here when you're ready. Thank you, Captain. Thank you. The channel closed. Elena sat back in her chair and took a deep breath. Archon, send a priority message to Earth. Tell them first contact has been made. Tell them it went about as well as it could have. Message sent, Captain. Elena looked at the planet Kaldros on her view screen. Somewhere down there, 3 billion people were celebrating. They were hugging their families, crying with relief, grateful to be alive. And they were talking about the mysterious humans who had appeared from nowhere to save them. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity. The Battle of Kaldros was over in 18 minutes. From the moment the Perseverance had fired its first shot to the moment the last Crethian ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, only 18 minutes had passed. In that time, the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted forever. Commander Zelith stood in the shuttle bay of her flagship and watched the small craft approach the human vessel. She had asked for this meeting. No, she had begged for it. She needed to understand. The galaxy needed to understand. Who were these humans? Where had they come from? And most importantly, what did they want? The shuttle docked with the Perseverance. Zelith and her 2 guards stepped through the airlock and into a corridor that looked nothing like any ship she had ever seen. The walls were smooth and white, lit by soft lights that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The air was clean and cool. Everything spoke of advanced technology used efficiently. A human woman waited for them. She was tall and lean, with dark hair tied back and eyes that seemed to see everything. She wore a simple uniform of dark blue with insignia that Zelith did not recognize. Behind her stood 2 more humans, a man and a woman also in uniform. "Commander Zelith," the woman said. "I'm Captain Elena Vasquez. Welcome aboard the Perseverance." Zelith studied the human carefully. She looked so ordinary. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. Her features were different from Velhari features, but not dramatically so. She could have been any species from dozens of worlds. Yet this ordinary-looking person commanded a ship that had just defeated 2,000 warships. "Captain Vasquez," Zelith said, "thank you for agreeing to meet. And thank you for saving my people. We owe you everything." Elena smiled slightly. "You don't owe us anything. But I'm glad we could help. Please follow me. We can talk in the conference room." They walked through the ship. Zelith noticed everything. The crew members they passed, all human, who looked young and healthy. The technology that seemed decades ahead of anything she knew. The quiet efficiency of everything. This was not a military vessel designed for conquest. It was an exploration ship. But it had weapons that could destroy fleets. The conference room was simple. A table, chairs, a view screen on one wall. Elena gestured for them to sit. "Can I offer you anything, water? We have some food synthesizers that can probably create something compatible with your biology." "No, thank you," Zelith said. She sat down, her guards standing behind her. "Captain, I need to ask the questions that everyone in this system is asking. Who are you? Where do you come from? And how do you have technology so far beyond anything we've ever seen?" Elena sat down across from her. She seemed to consider her words carefully. "We are humanity. We come from a planet called Earth, in a region of space your species has not explored yet. We've been out here watching the galaxy for about 50 years. We decided it was time to make ourselves known." 50 years? Zelith felt shock run through her. "You've been watching us for 50 years and never made contact?" "We needed to understand the galactic situation first," Elena said. "We needed to know who was peaceful and who was dangerous, who could be trusted and who could not. Today we saw the Crethians attacking your people. We saw the Galactic Council standing by and doing nothing. We made a decision. To intervene. Yes, to intervene." Elena leaned forward. "Commander, humanity has a difficult history. We spent thousands of years fighting amongst ourselves. Terrible wars. Weapons that nearly destroyed our own world. We learned from those mistakes. We learned that technology without wisdom leads to destruction. And we learned that when you have power, you have a responsibility to use it to protect those who cannot protect themselves." Zelith thought about that. "Your weapon. The one that destroys ships by crushing them. What is it called?" "The graviton lance," Elena said. "It manipulates gravity. Creates a localized field so powerful that matter collapses in on itself. It's based on theoretical physics that your scientists probably haven't explored yet. Different paths of development, you understand. Is it the only weapon you have?" "No, but it's the most powerful one on this ship." Elena smiled. "We have 53 other vessels in the expeditionary fleet, all with similar capabilities. And back on Earth, there are thousands more ships, some much larger than this one." Zelith felt the weight of that information. Thousands of ships, all with technology like this. Humanity was not just another small species trying to survive. They were a major power, perhaps the major power, and they had been hiding in the darkness, watching. "Why reveal yourselves now?" Zelith asked. "Why not continue watching?" "Because watching is no longer enough," Elena said simply. "The galaxy is not a safe place, Commander. Species like the Crethians conquer and destroy. Organizations like the Galactic Council make rules but lack the power or will to enforce them. Innocent people die while others do nothing. We decided we can do something, so we will. You'll intervene in other conflicts? When necessary. When the cause is just?" Elena's expression grew serious. We're not here to conquer. We're not here to build an empire. We're here to explore and to help. But if we see something like what happened today, we will act. Always. Zelith felt hope rising in her chest. The Crethians have conquered 17 systems before ours. Billions of people enslaved or killed. If humanity would help free those systems, we're already looking into it, Elena said. Once we finish here, several of our ships will be visiting those systems. The Crethians are going to have a very bad few months. A knock on the door interrupted them. One of Elena's officers entered. Captain, we're receiving multiple hails. The Galactic Council is demanding to speak with you. So are representatives from about 40 different species. And Earth Command wants a full report. Elena sighed. Tell the Council I'll speak with them in 1 hour. Tell the other species we'll be making a general announcement soon. And tell Earth Command the report is being prepared. The officer nodded and left. Elena turned back to Zelith. It's going to be chaos for a while. Everyone is going to want to know about us. Everyone is going to have questions. Some species will see us as saviors. Others will see us as a threat. Are you a threat? Zelith asked directly. Elena met her eyes. Not to anyone who doesn't threaten innocent people. Commander, humanity has power, significant power, but we remember what it's like to be helpless, to watch our cities burn, to lose people we love to violence we couldn't stop. We don't want anyone else to experience that if we can prevent it. Zelith believed her. She could hear the sincerity in Elena's voice. This was not a conqueror speaking. This was someone who genuinely wanted to help. It was rare in the galaxy. Precious, what happens now? Zelith asked. Now we talk to the galaxy, Elena said. We introduce ourselves properly. We make it clear what we stand for and what we won't tolerate, and then we see how the galaxy reacts. Some species will want to be our friends. Some will want to be our enemies. Most will probably just want to be left alone, and we'll respect that. She stood up. You should return to your people, Commander. They need to see you. They need to know their fleet commander survived. And they need to start rebuilding. We'll provide any assistance you need. Zelith stood as well. She hesitated, then held out her hand in the Velari gesture of respect and friendship. Captain Vasquez, on behalf of my people, thank you. You gave us our future back. We will not forget this. Elena took her hand. Her grip was firm and warm. You're welcome, Commander. And please tell your people something for me. Tell them that they're not alone anymore. Tell them that humanity is here, and we're watching out for the innocent. The bullies of the galaxy are going to learn that things have changed. Zelith returned to her shuttle with her guards. As they flew back to the Velhari flagship, she looked out the window at the human ship. So small, so unassuming, yet so powerful. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. On the Perseverance, Elena returned to her bridge. Her crew was waiting. She could see the questions in their eyes. What happens next? What have we started? Captain, incoming message from Earth. Communications reported. It's Admiral Zhao, top priority. Put him through. Audio only. Admiral Zhao's voice filled the bridge. He sounded tired. Captain Vasquez, I've received your preliminary report. Are you absolutely certain this was the right call? Revealing ourselves like this? Yes, sir, Elena said firmly. 3 billion innocent people were going to die. We had the power to stop it, we did. I stand by that decision. A long pause. Then so do I, Captain. Command agrees with your assessment. We're activating first contact protocol across the entire expeditionary fleet. All ships are being notified. Humanity is no longer hiding. We're going public. Elena felt the weight of that decision. Understood, sir. What are our orders? Continue with first contact procedures. Meet with local authorities. Speak with the Galactic Council. Make it clear what humanity stands for. And, Captain? Yes, sir? Be careful. You've just made us some very dangerous enemies. The Crethians won't forget this. Neither will other aggressive species. Watch your back. Always do, sir. Perseverance out. The channel closed. Elena looked at her crew. You heard the Admiral. We've just announced humanity to the galaxy. It's going to get interesting. Archon, prepare a general broadcast. I want every species in range to hear this. Broadcast ready, Captain. Elena thought about what to say.